All right, I'm going to be giving my reaction for Week 15, and I thought Week 15 was a pretty solid week. I did pretty good my picks, 10-4 at the moment. There were a few that were kind of wild games that I didn't predict, but I think for the most part, I was well in line with what was going on. And at the end of this video, I will go over the current playoff picture standings, and I'll go over the draft order. We all understand how important that is for some of these teams that, quite frankly, are bad right now. First off, though, this video is being recorded before the Monday night window. My picks remain the same for it. I will take Minnesota. I would take the Bears side of the spread. And then I think the Falcons, I locked it in today at 5.5. I took that bet, but I mean, I still think they cover 6.5. The Raiders have nothing right now. Their quarterback situation sucks. I know Atlanta's been struggling, but they have everything to play for. Nonetheless, they'll hit the money line. But I have the Vikings and the Falcons with the Falcons spread today. But going into it, I'll talk briefly about the Thursday night football game where you had the Rams and the 49ers, and I had this as a higher scoring game, and I think the reason that it wasn't that high of scoring in the matchup, that rain was terrible. That rain was bad. Cooper Kupp didn't receive a catch. It was a very just slow, sluggish, boring game to watch, but my takeaway from it is the Rams look better and better week to week. If they continue to win, they can find a way to squeeze in the playoffs. They're still not dead to win that division, especially with Seattle running into their issues at quarterback. So they could win that division, but the takeaway was it was a really rainy, crappy environment of a game. Moving on to the Sunday games, the Chiefs and the Browns. And if you look at it, the Browns really didn't stand much of a chance in this one against the Chiefs. The Chiefs dominated pretty much through and through. There was a moment where Jerome Ford broke a touchdown and looked like there was possibilities, but it wasn't looking good for the Browns, and that's why the Chiefs came away with the 21-7 victory. The big note in this game, Patrick Mahomes was hobbled. It's a sprained ankle, I believe. He'll be fine. He'll come back from this. He had the same injury in the playoffs, like early in them, went all the way to the Super Bowl, won it. I'm not concerned about his health. Bengals-Titans, it looked like a really close game in the beginning, and the Bengals broke it open. Tennessee, it's just so many issues with them throwing the football, like Levis, interception after interception after interception. They just don't have good quarterback play. When you don't have good quarterback play, you can't win games in the NFL, and that's why they got housed. And the Bengals should have scored another one, but they dropped it. But Bengals stay alive. They have a shot in the race. Denver would have to lose out, but the Bengals are still alive with Joe Burrow. Chase Brown's been a heck of a back for them. Commanders Saints, way too close of a game for the Commanders. Jaden Daniels, I still think, is an incredible player, but you can tell the youth in this team, and the Saints almost found a way to win this game. 2-point conversion at the very end is all it would have taken, and the Commanders, they stepped up, and they needed this one. If the Commanders lose this one, I don't know if they make the playoffs, but this is a big win for them. They're not dead in their division yet, but they won't win it. I think the Eagles only have to win one more game. But yeah, I don't know how far the Commanders can go in the playoffs. They might be one and done. Moving forward, Ravens-Giants. We know what the Giants are at this point. They're trying to tank. They want that first pick. They're locked into it right now. The Raiders are praying that they win another game. I don't know if they will. Ravens killed them. Lamar Jackson's having a great statistical season. He's playing great. Derrick Henry had an average so-so game. The big bright side for the Giants is Malik Neighbors. The guy's a stud, and he's looked better than Marvin Harrison Jr. this year. I'm not ready to make that decision yet. It's too early, but he's looked like the best wide receiver in that draft class. But he also is more on. I think that they're both really talented. I don't have a verdict on it yet, but he looks really good. He looks like he'll be a future guy for years. They just got to get the quarterback right. Him and Shador, if they do get the first pick, I like where their direction would be. Cowboys, Panthers, best game I've seen out of Cooper Rush so far in his career. Played really well. CeeDee Lamb has been emerging back. Beginning of the year, and slightly after the Dak injury, there's nothing out of him. Now he's giving production. 9 catches, 116 yards, a touchdown. He's starting to give that production that we thought he could give, and he's putting up things. Rico Dowell has been a bright side for this team. Bryce Young didn't look good against that defense. Micah Parsons embarrassed him. There was a strip sack that was rough, but Cowboys get a win. They're technically not out of the playoffs yet either. Jets, Jags, and this was the Devontae Adams game. Had a remarkable game. And I think sometimes we forget how good of a wide receiver he is. He's just had bad circumstances the past couple of years where he hasn't had the best quarterbacks to throw him the football. Still a remarkable wide receiver, still a top 10 guy, and he can play. And he won them this game. I will say Mac Jones played pretty well against this Jets defense. It was pretty impressive to see. I thought he played, and he really stepped up to the occasion. The Jets are just what the Jets are. If anything, this does hurt the Jets, though, because this moves them to, I want to say they'd currently be the 8th pick. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with them, but 8th pick's not that great of a sign. Dolphins, Texans. This was a battle of a game. Miami kept getting opportunities, and they just couldn't get it done. Good win for the Texans. Good win for Stroud and the Texans. Miami was a team on the rise. They've been playing a lot better. There was a brutal injury in this game with Dubose. I don't know how bad of it was. It looked like a neck injury. And it just goes to show with those receivers, if you run across the middle of the field and you get popped like that, it's really dangerous. So you got to be, they got to, I don't know how you can protect against that if they're in the NFL, because you're so defenseless when you're running the middle of the field and somebody comes in and chips you. So it's dangerous. I think the best way to do it is if you're a receiver, just don't be super lengthy. You got to, train your neck, put some muscle on, and I think that'll help. But yeah, that didn't look good. I haven't heard any updates, but that could be like a career ender. I'm not a doctor. I don't know for sure, but it looked pretty brutal. But moral of the story in this game, good, solid win for the Houston Texans. Colts, Broncos, and this was a game that was kind of close early. I think the Colts had an early lead in it, and the Broncos just came and they found a way to win. They've just looked impressive. They've just been impressive recently, just continuing to find ways to win these games, against the odds, against what people thought of him before the year. Sean Payton's looked good. Bo Nix looks better and better week to week, I swear. They had 21 points in the fourth quarter. Patrick Surtain had a really nice interception. They've just looked good. They've looked good all the way around. Richardson, I don't know if he's the guy. This was always the thing with Richardson. It was a project, and 2, he was drafted off potential. He was either going to hit big or miss big. So this is what we thought with him. We'll see what happens. I don't think it's over for him yet. I think he'll have one more year, but it's he's in like the 7th inning of his career right now, and next year is going to be the bottom of the 9th, and we're going to see. But Broncos get a good win. They stay in the playoff picture. Bills, Lions, a game that I thought was going to be really good. And if you look at it, the score's a lot closer than it was. The Bills dominated this game. They had the lead in this game for a long time. Josh Allen is a quarterback like I've never seen before. Some of the plays, what's crazy is if somebody he might be the most talented player in the league. He's just, some of the things he's able to do, what he's been able to do. If you look at these past 2 weeks, it's like a highlight reel that people don't get in their entire career, and it's been in 2 weeks. It's wild. They've played great. 40 points, 2 games in a row. It's been incredible. The Lions, boneheaded mistakes, man. The onside kick with 12 minutes left was weird. They might be too erratic. Because some of the stuff and decisions that he makes are ballsy decisions that I think are fine in the regular season. I have no problem with it in the regular season. But if he starts doing some of this stuff, Dan Campbell, if he does some of this stuff in the playoffs, that's it. I don't like that in the postseason, and we know he did that in the NFC Championship game with those 4th downs where he should have just kicked it. I don't know. They might be too erratic. They're a really talented team. The David Montgomery news today is crushing because he was such a big factor of what they do. So I don't know what's going to happen, but yeah, it was a good game with a lot of scoring, and the Bills found a way to win it. Steelers-Eagles, this was all Eagles. All Eagles. There was a moment where the Steelers put it to, I think it was 13-17 for a moment, and then the Eagles just broke this thing open. Jalen Hurts played really well. A.J. Brown's played really well. Barkley didn't even have that big of a game, and they won. And, you look at it, and the Steelers' defense, I thought, was going to hold in this game. They didn't. They got exposed by Jalen Hurts and that offense. And if you look at this Eagles team, possible Super Bowl contender, they're looking really good. They're playing with moxie. They got a lot of weapons. It's a really talented team. I like their chances. I do. And I was against it for a long time. I like the Eagles' chances. Patriots Cardinals, not much to say on this one, other than it was a good win for the Cardinals, but they were supposed to beat the Patriots. Trey McBride continues as a good tight end. James Conner, still a really elite running back. They're in the hunt still. I just don't know what their ceiling is going to be, but it's a good win against the Patriots. Bucs, Chargers, and this is a game, again, where it looked like the Chargers early in this game were going to take control. They were going to win, and the Bucs and Baker just went crazy. This is going to be a tough out in the playoff. This Bucs team, especially, do you think any of these teams want to go to a road playoff game in Tampa? Baker's playing out of his mind. Mike Evans is tough to guard. There's defensive pieces all over the place. This Tampa Bay team, let me tell you, would it be the craziest thing ever if they made a surprise run to the Super Bowl? Yeah, I don't know, because they're looking really good, and it's certainly possible. Baker, what a turnaround, and these are the stories that I love in sports. Guy is pretty much, he's about to be out of the league, traded by the Browns, cut by the Panthers, cut by the Rams, and then he goes to Tampa Bay, and it's just like, no, he's going to be a 10-year quarterback, and it's just the comeback story within that. It's been incredible. I'm rooting for the Bucs. I mean, this is a great story for Baker and Tampa Bay. Then you go to the Sunday Night Football game, Packers Seahawks. Geno Smith banged up in an injury that could kill their chances of winning that division. They're currently tied for first in it. But if you look at Green Bay, this is also another team that could put their way in the Super Bowl. Jordan Love played well. Josh Jacobs, they're starting to run behind him. 26 carries, 94 yards, and a TD. They're starting to go behind him. We'll see. We'll see how it goes in the postseason, but it was a good win for Green Bay. Going on to the current playoff picture. And right now what we have is the Chiefs and the Lions would have the first round bye. You would then follow that by the Bills, the Eagles, Steelers, Tampa, and then so on through. If you really want to look at it, where it gets interesting, I think 1 and 2 are pretty much going to be, I think that'll stay. The Eagles could easily find a way to get the 1 seed. It's certainly possible, but I think that the Lions should hold. I'll have to look at the schedule, but I think if you're really looking at this, you need to look at the standings. We'll look at the AFC first, and if you're looking at the race here, you have the Colts, the Dolphins, and the Bengals, and any of them could slide up here. So we'll see how it shakes up. But like I said, the Bengals need a lot of help. I think they need Miami to lose. They need Miami to lose again, and the Colts to lose again. That's a given. And then they need the Broncos to lose out. That's their only path. So we'll keep an eye on that in the AFC. If you look at the NFC, there's a few more possibilities, I believe. Yeah, so you have a lot of teams that have, like the Saints somehow haven't even been eliminated yet. But if you look at it with that wild card, I mean, Seattle could slide in there. Arizona is certainly within the page. Atlanta would just have to somehow win that division. Remember, they've swept Tampa, so it's certainly possible. But that's the playoff picture right now. And then if we go to the current draft order, Giants would hold the first pick, second, Vegas. Then you have a bunch of teams with 3 wins, New England, Jacksonville, Panthers, Titans, and the Browns. If you look at it, those 2 teams at the top certainly need to hold. It's really important. But if you're like a Cleveland, like you could move up. So the Giants and the Raiders have beat Cleveland, so they need to make sure they don't win. There's a lot of possibilities. I'm excited for it. I have my predictions for Week 16 coming up tomorrow at 8 p.m. Tune into that.